Good morning. My name's Les Litwin. I'm the Technical Sales Director of Antrica. Today I just wanted to show you how to program a micro SD card or USB memory stick to effectively upgrade or reflash the internal flash memory of an ANT37500 Spotbox 3 as we call it. You may know it as Spotbox 4K. So the 37500 is the latest of our Spotbox series. So let's start first of all by choosing either a USB memory stick or micro SD card. So I've just inserted a micro SD card, and I've used this one before, so you may well come across this at the end of this video. It's already formatted in the way that the 37500 requires it, which is basically a Linux operating system file format. And we're going to use a program called Balena Etcher in order to achieve that. So let me try and format this disk. So there. So the first thing we need to do is we want to format it in a FAT32 file system. And you'll notice that Windows offers me that as an option, and I'm going to select that. However, Windows has a limitation of 32 gigabytes for FAT32. It will not program anything larger than that. So when you're using USB or SD cards, please find one that's 32 gigs or smaller. So I'm just going to call this double F, and we're going to start the process. And it basically has formatted it. So effectively now, what we should see is, where are we? And if we go into our PC, you can see that I've now got this SD card here available for me. This particular one is it says 196 megabytes, right? So this is not right. So what's happened is the disk file, the formatting system has actually only formatted the empty space on this SD card. So what we'll need to do is effectively delete the Linux partitions that were on there before. So you may find this, once you've used an SD card, at the end of it, you won't be able to use it for anything else other than reflashing. So let me just quickly show you how you can recover that back to its sort of default empty state. So if I minimize that and find, so disk management, so if we open up disk management, you will find all your disks in this. This is on Windows. Obviously Macs are going to be different, but here you can see what it's been trying to do is partition. It's actually formatted only this little piece of the memory, but all these other bits have been partitioned by a previous Balena Etcher programming. So effectively we want to delete these other partitions, which are in blue. Excuse my voice. Try again, I don't know why. So what we're doing is deleting all the older partitions, and as you can see, it's gradually. So again, sorry, my computer's a little bit slow. Delete that. Yes. So this is the method you would use to recover your USB or micro SD card back to its sort of empty default state if you've used it previously to upgrade an ANT37500. This is actually the case with any Linux based file system that you've got on a USB or memory stick. And now we can see that it's basically back to nearly 1 gigabyte, which is as much as we don't need a gigabyte. We actually only need, I think, about half a gigabyte, but that's the smallest memory that you can probably buy nowadays. And then we're just going to create a simple volume out of this. Click yes, assign a drive letter, okay. And then it asks what file system. We need to select FAT32. We finish, and basically it's now one single disk. As you can see, it's in blue. So we're ready to go. So we've got a SD card plugged in that's 1 GB, big enough for our programming of the file system. So the first thing we're going to do is open up this program called Balena Etcher. Now you can download this off the internet. It's available for Windows, Mac and Linux. So any computer that you've got, you'll be able to find this program. It's a very simple process. You point to the flash file that you want to flash, you point to the SD card or USB stick that you want to program, and then you click flash. And then in our case, the SD card is ready to insert into the ANT37500 once we've done this process. So let me flash from file. Now, so on my desktop, I've actually got firmware 3.0.11. Seems not to be able to find it for some reason. Let's try that again. That's because I've moved them out of there previously. Apologies for this. So let me go and find them. So you can find them on our website. If you go to the website download section of the ANT37500, I'm going to the main file system here, but in there you will find a firmware folder, and it's got the 3.0.11 firmware. There are 3 folders in there. There's also a very handy guide, which you can't see here because it's looking for images, on how to effectively do this step by step, but in a written format. So as I say, I'm going to upgrade an SD card, so I'm going to point to this particular SD card image and then click open. So there's the SD card image. Here's my SD card, which I formatted earlier, and now we're going to flash. You'll get a Windows pop-up asking you if you wish to proceed. You say yes, and off it goes. So that's really it. There's nothing else to it. You just have to sit and wait, and I will edit this video later on to remove the boring bit. So we're now back to validating. So we've already flashed it. We're validating the programming, and now you'll get this pop-up because Windows no longer recognizes this micro SD card. It now thinks it needs formatting, and the reason for that is we've just formatted it in a Linux format. So you can basically cancel that, then remove your SD card, and the next step will be to plug the SD card into the ANT37500, which is also plugged into a monitor that's working, HDMI monitor. And as soon as you plug the SD card in, you will basically power up the ANT37500, and you will follow the on-screen display. The best thing to do is also download the user guide, as there are many more details on how to do this and which way to insert the SD card and so on our website. One last one last thing. The SD card method will update a unit which is effectively bricked. So if the unit is non-responsive and appears to be dead, as long as it's not a hardware issue, the SD card method will update the firmware and hopefully recover the device back to factory default settings. The USB memory stick method requires that the firmware on the device is fully working. So if you do have a device that's non-responsive, you have to use the SD card method. Anyway, I hope that's helped you. understand how we load firmware using SD cards and USB memory sticks onto the ANT 37500. Thank you.